Thank you so much, Lena. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm simply going to introduce myself, not because you don't know who I am, but because for energetic reasons. So I am Renata Mورز, and I'm an apprentice with Carlos Castaneda, Carol Tiggs, Bernadonna Grau, and Taisha Avila. And I'm very, very pleased to be here today with you. A little while ago, I made another video, which I think many of you have seen. And in that video, we talked about, why weren't we having better relationships than we were? And what we discussed, or what we explored together, what we discovered, was that most of us are living within the paradigm of a relationship that might have been our parents or our grandparents or our neighbors next door or our uncles or aunts or something, but they're not relationships with which we design. And how this happens is when we're young. I'm going to talk about myself now. I remember, 7 or 8 years old, I was already starting to look at my environment, everyone in my environment, my sister, my older sister, my next door neighbors, my grandparents, my uncles, etc. What was a role model I wanted to become? As a female, what was the role model I wanted to become? I didn't have the best relationship with my mom, so my mother was crossed off the list immediately. I was not going to become my mother. Yes. And so I looked around and I shopped around for, I like that one. No. I want that one. No. And I settled on, I liked my grandmother. My grandmother was kind. My grandmother treated her husband to breakfast every morning, and she brought him tea in bed and honey, and she made him poached eggs. This whole thing, I just became enamored with the care and the personality of my grandmother, the way she did her housekeeping, the way she arranged her furniture, etc., etc. So my paradigm for myself as a female, as a woman in the world, I chose. It's my grandma. Okay? Now, I didn't have any brothers. So, but then a little older, maybe 11, 12, or 13, I started looking for a paradigm of what would be the perfect partner. And for me, that was easy because I was my father's favorite little girl. I was daddy's girl. And so that was easy. I was just going to find a partner like my dad. So, as you can see, by the time I got to dating age, 17, 18, etc., longer, I was going to be my grandmother married to my father. How do you think those relationships turned out? But it's an interesting example to show you, or to show us all, that the relationships I have, the people I pick to have relationships with, whether I complain about them all the time, whether they leave me, whether they have affairs, whether they can make money, whether they can save money, whether they can't make money, it all comes from me. I am the major part and the major concern and the major creator and dreamer of all my relationships. Every last one. And if I want my relationships to change, my partner's not going to change. They're living another paradigm. For me to change my relationships, I need to change myself. I need to remove myself from my paradigm of my grandmother married to my father. It sounds so silly. And change that paradigm. And this is what the work of Carlos Castaneda Sincerity, and this seminar is all about, is first off, understanding that paradigm. Understanding that we made decisions, that when we were young, we were swimming in this soup of different people, different influences, different impulses in our lives, and we chose certain ones over others. And then the next step is, how do you create something different? How do you create something different so that you're not living now with my, 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old partner as my now 80-year-old family did? It's interesting to me because we all want a soulmate. Or maybe it was popular, maybe it's not so popular. But we all want that encompassing, perfect partner that reads our mind, that massages our feet. Oh my gosh, that just puts us in nirvana all the time. But we are not choosing such people from our soul. How are you going to find a soul partner unless you're looking for them from your soul? Doesn't make much sense, does it? Now, when I was young and looking at the template or pattern of a partnership and found one, that's not quite my soul. That's just kind of my normal everyday awareness. I was in the biological urges of a young woman looking to be loved. I was following the dreams of my parents. My mother wanted me to marry a certain kind of man. My grandmother wanted me to marry a certain kind of man. I mean, it goes on, So this older paradigm that I was living with is not from my soul. And as a human being who, our frontal lobe, our brain doesn't really develop till the age of 25. Do we ever have consciousness of our soul from a conscious level? Much before that time? Yes, we have a soul. Yes, we have an energy body, which in my tradition we call our soul. All the way from birth. But am I truly aware of it? Do I know when I'm with it or without it? It doesn't happen until sometime later, just because us human beings can't figure it out until sometime. So now that I'm adult, and I might want a better relationship, whether I want to pick a better partner, whether I want to make a better relationship with the one I have, it's going to rely upon me being in my partnership, picking my partners, and acting in my relationship from my soul, from my energy body. And this is what this workshop is going to give you. After we do some clearing and everyone understands what their past paradigm and past patterns of relationships are, we are going to get in a very quiet space, and we're going to find out what our soul wants, what our energy body wants. Because what's interesting is that our energy body is not one gender. Our energy body is genderless. Or you could explain it as a coming together of both genders to the point that there is no domination of one over the other. Frankly, isn't that the kind of relationship you want? Your partner and you have no domination and no power games one over the other. What you want in a good partnership is what your soul wants. It's what your energy body wants. And so we're going to do a lot of practices to get us down to that deep place of looking at, oh, my energy body wants me to express myself like this. Also, I have a male part of my energy body, a female part of my energy body, and also, what is it together? And then from this place, what kind of partner am I looking for? And what kind of relationship do I want to live? And how do I turn my current relationship into the one I want? So this is going to be the sequence or the flow of the workshop. And as everything in integrity, we always start out in the very physical world, our world, our awareness, our normal awareness is in the physical realm. And that's why so many of us, when we look for relationships, are attracted to physicality for a large part. Or we're attracted to physical things like money, beauty. These are physical things. And that if you really want a soul-to-soul relationship, hopefully we can expand beyond just the physical and want to act from and be with a kind of person that has some deeper, maybe a few more sincere qualities than just the physical. So, I don't think I have very much more to say. You've probably maybe heard some of this before, maybe not. But I think if you need a tagline, if you need a summary statement from this short lecture, from this short talk, from our short discussion, it would be, if I want to have a soulful relationship, if I want to have an energy body relationship, I have to change myself to be in it for my soul. And that is what integrity is all about. So, I think at this moment we're going to open up the floor to questions, and I'm going to attempt to answer them.